Alright, we're sitting down for this one. This is not going to be a vlog, but it is going to be a follow-up to the vlog series where I went to Juneau and Skagway with Adam and Sherry. I am going to link to Adam and Sherry's Juneau Skagway playlist, and I will link to my playlist as well in the description box of this video if you're interested. Chances are you've already seen those videos. Anyway, I just kind of wanted to do like a roundup. If you didn't want to watch the whole vlog series, a lot of it, well, I guess what I'll start with is like what I've been trying to do with my videos is more show than tell. I have wanted to show you things rather than telling you where I'm going, what I'm doing, what's happening, because I feel like sometimes I talk too much, and so I want to show you what the trails look like when we hike them and show you what the experience is. So a lot of the vlogs from this series is like music laid over sped up like footage, just because, you know, you don't want to watch the whole thing like in real time, but I feel like it's helpful to get to see trails if you think you might go to Juneau or Skagway and you might be looking for a hiking trail. You know, you don't want to do anything really difficult, or at least I don't. So I just want to show those things. So anyway, if you don't want to watch all of those videos, I don't blame you. They're kind of long, and you know, if you're not interested in it, I don't blame you. That's fine. So what I want to do in this video is just kind of round up and talk about what we did, where we went, a few of the places that we ate, some things that I would do again, some things that I would not do again. So to begin, we flew from Anchorage to Juneau on Alaska Air. I totally recommend flying with Alaska Airlines. I usually fly with Southwest Airlines, but Southwest does not fly to Alaska, so Alaska Air kind of gives me a lot of the same feelings as Southwest does. They just, you know, they charge for bags unless you're in first class. They do have first class. The boarding process is traditional. It's not like Southwest, but I do really enjoy flying with Alaska Air, and I think they have a really great mileage program. We flew on like I think it was Thursday night, and we kind of got in a little bit late, and so we ended up eating at the Island Pub on Douglas Island, and we had some pizza, and it was really, really good. I wanted to eat there again, and you know, we didn't get the opportunity, but if I were ever to go back to Juneau, I would try to make it over to Douglas and eat there again, just because it was excellent. For our stay in Juneau, we stayed at the hotel. It was the Aspen Suites, so it was over sort of closer to the airport. I think they call it the Valley is where this hotel was located. It's the Aspen Suites. The hotel room was huge, very, very spacious. I enjoyed it. It was nice. I liked it. So the next day, I'm calling it day one, because when we flew in, we didn't have a whole day there. That was like dinner, and that was it. We got there late. So like the first full day, we went to breakfast at the Sandpiper. It was kind of a terrible experience, I'm not gonna lie. It was just truly awful. If you want more details on that, go watch my first video in Juneau. It was just a bad experience. I wouldn't go back there, and honestly, I wouldn't recommend anyone to go there. It was recommended highly to us, so maybe it was just like a COVID thing. I don't know. I just, you know, kind of burned me out. I would just go to a coffee shop and get like a bagel or breakfast sandwich or something the next time I was in Juneau. If I was there for breakfast, that's what I would do. After breakfast, we went to the Alaska State Museum, which was really like close to the Sandpiper. I could have spent 4 hours in there looking at everything. It was really kind of a small footprint museum, but I thought they had a lot of really great history. I thought they had a lot of great artifacts in there, and it wasn't all that expensive. I think it was maybe $14 admission into the museum, but I thought it was spectacular. After we did the museum, we kind of walked around downtown Juneau. We hit up a couple of like bookstores, and we hit up a couple of shops, and then we went to Devil's Club Brewing, which was really fun. They had a popcorn that came with, I think it was nutritional yeast on it, which was weird, but their beers were cool, so I enjoyed that. They also had really cool merch. And then after Devil's Club, we did the Mount Roberts tram. I thought this was kind of overpriced. It's like a 5-minute ride to the top, really fast, pretty smooth. I felt safe. They didn't have a bunch of people crammed on there, but I get the feeling that they usually cram a bunch of people on those cars. When we got to the top of the mountain, there was like an outdoor observation deck, and there was a nature center, which was just like a hut with like one room. There was a restaurant that was closed, but the bar was open. We didn't go in there. We did go into the gift shop, but everything was really expensive. Most of what we did up there at the top of the mountain was a hike. So we did, I think it was called the Alpine Loop Trail, which ended up being, I think, close to 2 miles, I think. It was really buggy. It was beautiful, but it was really buggy. So if I have a recommendation for visiting Southeast Alaska, take a lot of bug spray. Take something that works for you. We didn't have anything because we didn't take anything, because you're not supposed to fly with aerosols. And the only bug spray that we have is an aerosol. So that was on us. But anyway, it just, you know, it took me back, you know, just because there were so many bugs, so many big bugs, like huge horseflies. Here in Anchorage there are mosquitoes, but they're not that bad. I was honestly shocked by the bugs in like Juneau and Skagway. So after we finished at the tram, I think we went out to Alaska Brewing, which was fun. We had planned to do the shrine and the glacier that day, and we didn't have anything planned for the next day. So we ended up going to the brewery, and then we went back to downtown. We went to the waterfront, and we got to see the whale statue, which looks like a huge humpback whale like breaching out of the water, and sometimes it like has water coming out of it. It's like a fountain. It's very realistic. It's really cool. It's not quite to scale, which is impressive when you're standing there looking at it. It looks huge and you're thinking this isn't even the size of the real thing. It was amazing, and we got to take some really cool pictures. And then for dinner we went to the hangar at the wharf, and it was spectacular. The food was good, the service was excellent, and it kind of restored my hope and, you know, kind of made me feel a lot better about eating out on this trip, because I was worried after breakfast at the Sandpiper. I was worried about what the rest of the trip was going to be like, to be quite honest with you. I thought, you know, if this is the norm, it's just going to be an adjustment, you know, because I had never experienced any restaurant service like that ever in my entire life, and then for it to be like that, it was so odd. So anyway, that was our first full day in Juneau. The next day, day 2 in Juneau, was a long day, but definitely my favorite day of the entire trip. It was such a good day. We started out by going to Heritage Coffee, which is a local coffee roaster in Juneau. They have tons and tons of locations. I think we went to the Glacier one for breakfast, and we got like breakfast sandwiches and coffee, and then we went out to Mendenhall Glacier, and it was breathtaking. It was so beautiful and huge, and we did a hike there. Adam and I did. Sherry stayed in the visitor center because she had done the hike with us the day before, and it was a lot for her, and so she was just kind of resting. But it was a mile out to Nugget Falls and a mile back. Wow, the waterfall was massive and loud and beautiful, and I'm so glad we did it. I wanted to do it again. I'm sorry we didn't get to go back to Mendenhall Glacier when we returned to Juneau, but it is definitely something I would go back and do again. It's something like I could spend several days just visiting the Mendenhall Glacier like spot. There's so many trails out there and lots of activities and options for things, so I just, wow. Honestly, I can't wait to go back. I thought it was great. When we finished with the glacier at Mendenhall, we got in the car because we had rented a car for Juneau, and I would either do that or well, I don't know what it's like when you go on a cruise. I don't know if they're like shuttles. I don't know if there are shuttles associated with like cruises or tours or anything, but we were independent travelers. If you are independently traveling to Juneau, rent a car. Taxis are expensive. So from the glacier we went to the Shrine of St. Teresa, which is a Catholic church located in one of the most scenic spots I've ever seen a church located. It was beautiful, and it was very serene, very peaceful, and I was given this dose of peace and calm while we were out there, and it was so beautiful. I was just very happy to be out there. There are a couple of options for like purchasing gifts or books or medals or, you know, whatever. They have kind of a little gift shop opportunity at the Shrine of St. Therese, but it's all cash and there's no like attendance. So if something is $3 and you have a $5, you're not going to get change. So just keep that in mind if you go, but I would definitely recommend going, even if you aren't Catholic. I was raised Catholic. Adam and Sherry were not, and this was not their first time going, and I guess they loved it the first time. But I think that anyone would enjoy that. But I definitely, as a Catholic, I appreciated like the Stations of the Cross outside on the island. It was beautiful. Once we left the shrine, we went to lunch, and we went to the Forbidden Peak Brewery, which was right in Auk Bay, just across from the harbor. So this day we were getting ready to go on a ferry from Juneau to Skagway, and the ferry we were taking actually left out of Auk Bay, so it was right there across from the harbor. Beautiful setting, amazing venue of really good food and excellent beer, so totally recommend that. I would go back there. I actually walked out with a crowler. At the time it had beer in it. It has water in it now because, funny enough, on that trip I had taken my water bottle with me, and on the plane from Anchorage to Juneau I realized that like there's a rubber seal in the lid of my water bottle that had come out, and I realized that on the plane, so my water was leaking all over everywhere in the plane, so I ended up holding it and drinking it on the way down to Juneau. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I got a crowler to replace my water bottle. When we got home, we found the seal. So now this one works. And I have an extra water bottle. It doesn't matter. So after lunch, we returned our rental car, took a taxi to the harbor, and we got on the Alaska Fjord Lines. I think it's called the Fjordland, and it's like a catamaran, so it has 2 of these hulls, so it's a really smooth ride. If you get seasick, I still recommend taking, you know, medicine, talk to your doctor, but I don't get seasick, so I didn't take anything, and it was like a smooth as glass ride. And as we were leaving the harbor, we saw a bald eagle. It was spectacular. On the way to Skagway, it's a several hour ride. They do feed you. We ended up seeing 4 humpback whales, and one of them was, well, actually 2 of them, it was like a pair. It was a mom and a baby together. Total experience of a lifetime. It was amazing. I mean, I can't express the joy and the emotions attached to that. I don't know why seeing whales in person makes me so emotional, but it does. So anyway, we took the ferry from Auk Bay to Haines, and it was like a very short like exchange. So they had some passengers on the ferry that got off in Haines, some people got on in Haines, and then the ferry continued on to Skagway, and it's like a 30-minute ride from Haines to Skagway. It doesn't matter. I think the ferry is actually based out of Haines instead of Skagway, and it began as like a taxi service almost between Haines and Skagway, because you can really get there much faster by water. If you drive, I think it's 8 hours. If you like fly or take a boat, it's like half an hour. So, you know, water is your better option. It felt like a whale cruise. They fed us. I think we had a salmon chowder, a cookie, and a piece of bread. It doesn't really matter. We had a backpack full of snacks and all kinds of other things that we took with us, but they were very kind, courteous, very knowledgeable. They took pictures of us if we asked. It was really great. So then when we got to Skagway, we were actually connected with a couple, George and Nicole, who are the owners of the Klondike Electric Bicycle Company, and they picked us up at the harbor and they took us to our hotel. We stayed in Skagway. We stayed at the Sergeant Preston's Lodge, and that's an interesting story because it was like a motel that had been purchased by the people who own Skagway Brewing Company. It was like a motel. They turned it into staff housing, and then with COVID and no travelers coming to Skagway, they wanted some independent travelers to come, and there's no place for those people to stay, so they turned a part of it back into like a hotel motel kind of situation. So we got to stay there, and it was really great. George and Nicole ended up taking us out. We got into Skagway, I think it was 8 o'clock. It's really hard to judge time here in Alaska in the summer because it's light out all the time. So it was really difficult to like remember, was it dark out? I think it was about 8 when we got in. And then we went to a place called the Red Onion, which used to be a brothel. It is not anymore, but they still do like brothel tours. We didn't end up doing that, but when we got there they had some live music that was going to happen, and we got to stay for that, and we got to have, you know, a couple of drinks with George and Nicole, which was really cool. And then we went back to the hotel and we went to sleep, and then the next day when we woke up, it was the 4th of July. I have had some very, you know, unique 4th of July experiences, and maybe I'll talk about that one day in the future, I don't know, but this was one of the, you know, better 4th of July memories that I have. We woke up and we went to a place called Glacial Coffee House, which is their, you know, coffee house there, and had some coffee, had some breakfast, and then it was time for the parade. And the parade was so cute. It was really short. They had some really fun, not acts, but I guess like parade entries. I think my favorite was the marching band, because the people were carrying paper instruments, and I think the instruments had kazoos attached to them, and they did a really fun like marching, you know, design in the street. It was so fun. We had lunch at Skagway Brewing Company, and it was all outside, so everything was a little bit different for the 4th of July just because they're prepared for everyone in town to come together. And it felt like a wonderful community. Everybody knew each other, everybody was nice, everybody was friendly, even to us, and we were strangers. And they were all so kind to us. We did a lot of walking around town. We got to watch the pizza toss. We got splashed with pizza sauce. It was a lot of fun. It was like small town Independence Day festivities. The only thing we were missing was the fireworks, which we had kind of got the night before, but again, it's light out all the time, so it's kind of difficult to do fireworks in Alaska in the summer. So anyway, it was delightful. It was comfortable. It was, you know, familiar somehow. It was just really relaxing, really nice. I think in my vlog from that day, I talked about it feeling like a beach day just because I was so relaxed that day, and I stand by that. That's how I felt that day. So coming to the last day, the last full day, we woke up, we took the White Pass train, which we didn't know we were going to get to do. We had found out the day before, on the 4th of July, that there was going to be a small cruise ship in town and that the White Pass train was going to be running. So we ended up showing up to the train depot at 9 a.m. to get our tickets. And the route that they were taking, they couldn't take us all the way like 20 miles up because we would have had to cross a bridge that is out of order right now because they are doing some major construction, replacing wood with concrete, so the bridge was out. So we ended up going 14 miles up and then, you know, the 14 miles back, and it was really cool how they made people switch seats and then they flipped the seat backs over. If you're interested in that, watch that video. It was really interesting because they called it a mandatory seat swap. So everybody got the same perspective. You know, you got to watch, you know, both sides of the train. I don't know how I'm trying to describe this, but hand signals I don't think are my thing because they don't seem to be helping me. Anyway, the train was wonderful, and it, you know, didn't take all day. It was a nice excursion. I'm trying to think of this from the perspective of like a cruiser coming into town. And if I'm only going to be in Skagway for 8 hours, I don't know that I would want to spend 8 hours on the train. But I think, you know, 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours on the train would be good, fine. But it was just, and it was beautiful. It was sunny the whole time we were in Skagway. It was amazing. Bugs, again, were big bugs, lots of big bugs. But, you know, it was just so much fun. It was so nice. So then we got back to Skagway. We got off the train. We did a little bit of shopping. There was like a souvenir shop right across from the train. There was, we went to Clothes Rush. We went to the grocery store to kind of check out what was going on there and the grocery prices. And then we went to Klondike Electric Bicycles to begin our electric bicycle tour. Sherry stayed in the room. Adam and I were planning on doing this. And this is kind of where things went bad. For me, I wrecked my bike. If you missed all of that, I wrecked my bike. I'm okay. I have a couple of fractured ribs, but I'm fine. So I want to talk about the electric bicycles because I don't want people being afraid of them. I had so much fun riding this bike. The error was mine. It was not the bike's fault. I shouldn't have been on that trail with this bike. I'm not experienced enough riding a bicycle on trails like that, so that was me. I shouldn't have done it. But I want to talk about like fitness level. I'm not the most fit, okay? I can hike and I can ride my bicycle on like flat roads and stuff, which is where I should have been anyway with this bike. But if it's difficult for you to do, you know, like pedal bicycles, I think the electric bike would be fine for you because it helps you. It's like an electric assist. So when you pedal, you can feel the bike, you know, pushing you farther than your own feet would take you. And I really enjoyed that. You can control how much assist you get from the bike. And I think the Klondike electric bicycles rates are really good. If that's offered as an excursion from a cruise, like, I know I would take it. I wear the helmet though. Wear the helmet, wear long sleeves, you know, just don't be a fool, you know, wear the PPE. It's there for you, you know, it's a good idea. So anyway, I loved the bikes. I would just stay in town. And honestly, Skagway is really flat. It is sort of a strange town because you're sitting in a big bowl of granite mountains, okay? The water comes up, but like if you're standing in Skagway and you're looking around, everything is mountains. But Skagway is really flat. Like the town of Skagway where we were walking, where the parade was, because we didn't rent a car in Skagway. We walked everywhere. George and Nicole drove us from the harbor to our hotel, but everything else we walked because it was so close and it was so like flat. It was really nice. So after I wrecked my bike, kind of ruined everything from the evening on, and it was like 5 o'clock I think when it happened, so it was sort of late in the day, but we were still gonna do some other stuff that night and it didn't happen. Anyway, so the next morning we woke up, we got on the ferry to take us back to Juneau, and the ferry dropped us off in a separate harbor, which was odd because it didn't take us back to where we had gotten on it in Auk Bay. It took us to a different like dock, and we got on a bus, and the bus took us to downtown Juneau. We spent the day in downtown Juneau, we got on a plane, and we flew back to Anchorage, and that was the end of it. So it was a really great trip. Cost less than an Alaska cruise. We still got to see a bunch of whales. We got to see, I think, 20-some bald eagles just on the way home from Skagway. Yeah, it was amazing. Totally recommend it. And honestly, I recommend the bicycles. Yeah, I got hurt. I'm okay. Everything's fine. So if you have any questions about booking or about prices, you can leave those in a comment. You can direct message me on Instagram. But I just kind of wanted to do like a summary, talk about some of the things that I would do again, and yeah, everything in Skagway. I would do everything in Skagway over again. I would skip in Juneau. I would skip the Sandpiper and I would skip the tram. I know the tram is right there when you get off the cruise ship. I think that's really kind of its only redeeming factor. I mean, you get some cool views, but it's expensive. Like, I thought it was expensive because it's $25 to go up. I don't know. I would just spend my time in Juneau elsewhere. I would definitely go back to the museum, and I would plan to spend at least 2 hours, if not double that there. Anyway, I thought it was nice. It was great, and I'm really grateful to Adam and Sherry for taking me with them on this trip. So that's gonna be it for the roundup video. I've had enough of hearing myself talk, so you guys will see me in another video really, really soon.